Have the ring, Jack added, a playful glint in his eyes. The one I proposed with. Vicky chuckled, her heart fluttering. I remember. Jack took her hand, his thumb gently tracing the lines on her palm. And I still want to marry you, Vicky. Not because I think we have to, or because it's the only way, but because I want to stand up in front of all our friends and family, and the world, and declare my love for you. Because I want to build a family with you, and give our children a stable, loving home. One that's nothing like your parents' marriage, or mine, but uniquely ours. Vicky's eyes welled up, tears of joy spilling onto her cheeks. The old fears, the lingering shadows of her past, had finally receded, replaced by a profound sense of peace and security. Jack had waited, he had fought, and he had loved her, unconditionally. Yes, Jack, Vicky whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Yes, I will marry you. Jack's face lit up, a radiant smile transforming his features. He pulled her into a tight embrace, kissing her with a tenderness that spoke volumes of their shared journey. Their wedding, when it finally happened, was not in a grand church, nor was it a rushed affair at City Hall. It was a heartfelt ceremony held in the newly renovated Jack's Bistro, surrounded by the warmth of their friends and family. Janet and Philip stood by them, beaming. Terry, having decided to extend her stay indefinitely, was the maid of honor. Even Larry, dressed in his finest suit, managed to keep his comments to a minimum. Mr. Bradford was conspicuously absent, a silent acknowledgement of the irreparable rift between him and his daughter. But Vicky, surrounded by so much love, felt no sadness. She had found her own family, her own happiness, on her own terms. As Jack and Vicky exchanged vows, their eyes locked, a promise of a future filled with love, laughter, and an unwavering commitment to each other. They had built their life together, brick by brick, through trials and triumphs, and now they were ready to solidify that foundation, not out of obligation, but out of a deep, abiding love that had weathered every storm. Their apartment above the bistro, once a symbol of their unconventional choice, now stood as a testament to their enduring love story, a place where dreams, once deferred, had finally found their home. The late afternoon sun, a benevolent artist, painted the worn Persian rug of apartment 201 in hues of gold. Janet Wood, usually a beacon of calm, paced with a nervous energy that belied her usual composure. Her fingers, usually steady, now twisted the delicate lace of a veil, a silken promise of a dream long held. Her eyes, typically vibrant, darted between the makeshift Alton Antiqui writing desk adorned with a hastily arranged bouquet of white lily and the two figures observing her, their expressions a blend of affection and concern. Jack Tripper, leaning against the doorframe, a faint, sympathetic smile playing on his lips, had flour smudged on his chef's whites, a testament to a morning of frantic baking. His gaze on Jeanette was tender, understanding the depth of her longing. Beside him, Terry Alden, a picture of quiet elegance, even in casual attire, offered a reassuring nod. Come and knock on our door. Come and knock on our door. We've been waiting for you. We've been waiting for you. Where the kisses are hers and his. He's confident too, Janet murmured. A fragment of a cherished song, her voice laced with a wistful ache. She sighed, the sound heavy with unfulfilled dreams. Why? Because, Jack, that's what I've always dreamed about. A church wedding with organ music and flower girls and me wearing this long, white wedding gown. Jack pushed off the doorframe, stepping further into the room. And Phil doesn't want that. Janet's shoulders slumped. Well, he found out it would take months to reserve the church, and he doesn't want to wait that long, that little devil. Her voice held a hint of exasperation, a frustration with the practicalities that threatened to derail her romantic ideal. Terry moved closer, her hand resting lightly on Janet's arm. Look, Janet, is a church wedding that important to you? Janet's head snapped up, her eyes flashing with a raw vulnerability. Important. Jack, I've waited so long for this, longer than most. Years of yearning, of failed relationships, of holding on to a singular vision of happiness, were condensed into that simple plea. Jack took a step closer, his gaze steady, his voice gentle but firm. Janet, let me ask you something. Do you really love Philip? Of course, I love him. The answer was immediate, unequivocal, a truth that resonated through the room. Then what difference does it make where you get married? You're lucky enough to find someone you love, The important thing is that you're together, isn't it? Jack's words were a distillation of hard-won wisdom, a reminder of the essence of love beyond societal expectations. Janet bit her lip, her gaze dropping to the floor. Yes, but, Jack, Terry, well, it just doesn't feel right getting married by some clerk in City Hall. The bureaucratic sterility of a municipal office felt like a betrayal of her romantic heart. It doesn't have to be City Hall, Terry chimed in, stepping forward. That's right. Hey, it's in our apartment, Jack finished, a sudden spark of inspiration igniting his eyes. Why not? We can get a minister, flowers, decorations, and everything. You know what? We could even invite Philip. What the heck? He grinned, a mischievous glint in his eyes, already picturing the transformation of their familiar living space into a sacred one. Janet's head lifted slowly, her eyes widening as the unconventional idea took root. The warmth of home, the intimacy of friends, the personal touch. It began to eclipse the grandiosity of a church. Oh, she breathed, a tentative smile forming. I do. It sounds great. The tension in her shoulders began to ease, replaced by a burgeoning excitement. I'll go ask Philip and see if he likes the idea. She paused, a flicker of her old self-doubt returning. If he doesn't, we'll get someone else. Jack threw up his hands in mock indignation. Not for me. You won't. Do you know anything about me? Anyway, he gestured around the room, as if his very presence were a testament to his unique suitability for officiating. Just then, a knock echoed from the door. No, Terry whispered, a knowing smile playing on her lips. That's her. The door swung open to reveal a young woman, vibrant and poised, despite the crisp uniform that hinted at a life of discipline and order. Hi, she said, her voice soft. Hi, Vicky, Jack replied, his voice softening perceptibly, a subtle shift in his demeanor. Come on in. Vicky stepped inside, her eyes scanning the room, a slight frown creasing her brow at the unusual. Is my father here yet? No, not yet, Jack confirmed, a subtle tension entering his posture, a barely perceptible tightening around his eyes. Good. Vicky offered a small, almost imperceptible sigh of relief. Very good. She looked down at her uniform, then back at Jack. Vicky, you don't know that your dad's going to come through that door any minute. You're right. I better go. She looked around, a little lost. Where can I go? Right in there, Jack said, gesturing towards his bedroom. Okay. Vicky moved towards the room, then paused, turning back to Jack, a small, reassuring smile on her face. And Jack, don't worry about my father. He'll do fine. Jack scoffed, though a tremor of unease ran through him. Hey, who's worried? Come on. He's coming to see me. This is my ballpark, so what's to worry? He puffed out his chest, a valiant but transparent attempt to project confidence. A moment later, a more insistent, authoritative knock sounded at the door. Jack's bravado wavered. He smoothed his chef's whites, took a deep breath, and opened the door. Standing on the threshold was a man who exuded an air of crisp authority, his tailored suit impeccable, his gaze sharp and assessing. Mr. Bradford. Hello, Mr. Bradford. Jack offered, extending a hand, his voice a notch higher than usual. Nice to see you. Would you please come in? Mr. Bradford entered, his eyes sweeping over the apartment with a look that managed to be both dismissive and scrutinizing. Thank you. He paused, his gaze lingering on the makeshift wedding setup. Mr. Bradford, why don't you sit down? Jack gestured to a worn armchair. Thank you. Mr. Bradford sat, but his posture remained rigid, as if daring the chair to make him comfortable. I think he might be a touch more comfortable over there. Jack pointed to a more substantial, less wobbly armchair. Mr. Bradford merely raised an eyebrow, a silent rebuke. I wonder what's keeping my daughter, Mr. Bradford finally said, his voice clipped, impatient. Oh, she's in my bedroom, Jack explained, a blush creeping up his neck. Getting dressed, changed out of a uniform and into something more comfy. He cleared his throat, feeling the need to elaborate. Would you like some wine? Thank you. None for me. Mr. Bradford's voice was devoid of warmth. I didn't know you had an ulcer, Jack said, genuinely surprised. Came on suddenly about 2 weeks ago. Mr. Bradford's eyes narrowed, fixing on Jack. That's about the time Vicky and I started seeing each other.